Hello, sixth graders. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there today. I will miss you dearly, but I hope that you produce koala tea work today. Ha ha ha. So I've created this little screencast to help you as you create your bar graphs and your conclusions for your FIRS, your formal investigative reports. So today's goals, #goals, are to 1, finish your experiment if you haven't already done so. Please let Mrs. Dunk know if you are in that boat, and you can head out to the hallway and quickly finish up and finish recording the data on your data tables. Most of you have already finished step 1, so you will be going directly to step 2, where you'll be creating a bar graph. And then you'll wrap up with step 3, where you will write your conclusion. Some of you might not finish your conclusion today. That is okay. Just know that you will have a little bit of time in class tomorrow to finish up whatever you don't get done. I want you to do your best work in that section, so if it takes you a little bit longer, no worries. Okay, let's do this. To be prepared right now, I just need you to go into Google Classroom and open up your FIRS, your formal investigative reports. Remember, if you need a second to do this, you can pause the video and pick back up once your document is up. Another fancy trick is if you want to split screen this, you can put the video on one side of your screen and you can have your document running on the other, and that might allow you to work more seamlessly. So those are some suggestions. Remember, at any time you can pause this, at any time you can rewind this, at any time you can fast forward. So this is kind of a new and improved version of me. So soon I might be just replaced with these screencasts. Hopefully not. Okay, let's head to our FIR documents. Okay, so when we open up our FIRS, we should have graded the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, not quite 6 because we haven't finished the graph. We should have graded the first 5 standards. And then we will scroll down to the bottom. And we should have the header graph set up and ready for us to go. If you haven't already done so, complete that step. But then to get our graphs going, we are going to actually need to open up a whole new document. I know, a little bit mind-blowing. So we are going to go up to File. We are going to click New, and then we are going to go to Spreadsheet. We are going to be creating our graphs in Google Sheets. So it looks like mine is still working. The first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to title my document. I'm going to type in FIR data, and then I will type in my name. So if you want to go and do that, that would be great. The next piece is you need to record your data. So I need to refer back to my data tables, and I am going to be recording the data in this first table right here. So if I look, I had 2 variables. I had overhand tosses and underhand tosses. I successfully caught 15 overhand tosses and 19 underhand tosses. So I am going to move back over to that data spreadsheet I started. I am going to type in A1, and it's really important that you do it this way, I'm going to type in overhand. And then in B, I'm going to type in underhand. And then since for overhand I had 15, I'm going to type 15 in the column or the box below that. I'm going to type 19 in the box below underhand. That should get us all set up and ready to create our graph. At this point, we need to highlight these 4 cells. So some students just like to they click down on the overhand and drag your cursor over. That is totally fine. What I like to do is I actually start with my cursor in the overhand box. I hold down the shift key and then I click in the box diagonal from it. And that's another way you can quickly highlight all of that data. So from there, I'm going to go to Insert. And I'm going to go to Chart. As you can see, this graph needs a lot of work. But what's really impressive about Google is it actually usually it selects the most appropriate graph given your data set. And the most appropriate graph for us is a bar graph. So it's great, it's right there. If for some reason your Google isn't working so well, that's okay. You can just go to under this data section. You see there's actually 2 headers, data and customize. Under the data section over here on the right of your screen, you can click chart type, and there are all these different chart types, and you can go down and click the column type chart, which is the bar graph. If you have that, we are going to go to customize, since that is where we can ensure that our range is good and that everything is labeled correctly. So we are going to go to Customize. As you can see, there are a variety of headers that you can click on. So the first thing that's throwing me is that we don't have a chart title, okay? And so some students are tempted to do a really quick and easy title, but ideally our title should really effectively summarize our entire experiment. So when I'm thinking about my title, my graph shows the successful catches when tossing overhand and underhand. So I might do a chart title, Successful Overhand and Underhand Catches. And I put that right in this title text area. You'll notice you don't really have to do anything. Google automatically updates that, which is really nice. And then just note, you can change the title, the font. You can find something that matches your font better. You can also change the title size. In this one, I wouldn't go too big. Usually you want it all to fit on this top in one line. But if I were to go to, it's at 20. It looks like it's at 20. If I were to go to 24, no big deal. I also can center it. I kind of like being centered, so I can center it. If I had really wanted to, I could bold it. So many options. From there, let's see. We can also change our axes. So you can see it's a chart and axis title header. And actually, this is somewhat hard to find, but if you go to type, you change chart title to horizontal axis title. And so that's going to be our horizontal axis, so our x-axis if we're using those great math terms. So for our horizontal axis, we'll type in, well for me, it's going to be overhand and Or maybe I should more broadly write type of throw, okay? Because that's my more broad category. So I think I'm going to go with type of throw. I actually would prefer that that is a little bit bigger. It's kind of small. I might go up to 16 just so that it's easier to read. But otherwise, I think it looks good. From there, I'll go to vertical axis title because we also want to do the vertical axis or the y-axis. So vertical axis. So when I think about what this vertical axis represents, it really represents the successful catches. So I might, for my vertical axis title, I might add number of successful catches. And again, Google so nicely just updates that. I can, from there, make that one bigger too. I think I used 16 last time. It's nice that they match up. Lovely. Okay. The next piece is we're going to go to, we have our legend, which is in the corner. I think it actually looks pretty good. I sometimes like to, again, make the font just a little bit bigger. Works. And now I really need to change this axis right here because as it currently stands, the range only goes from 15 to 19. So we can't even see our overhand data represented in this graph, which is definitely a problem. So I'm going to go to my vertical axis header, and on there, it allows me to put a minimum and maximum value for that axis. So given that our minimum value that we could, that you could have recorded was 0, I'm going to put a 0 in there. And you already see how that allows that overhand catch data to be visible, which is really great. 20 seems like 20 was the highest number you could have recorded, so we'll put that for our max, which it looks like it's already there, but I'm going to include that just in case. I may bold those numbers so they stand out a little bit. Wonderful. Okay. So now I know what many of you are thinking, but the colors, Miss Springers, the colors don't match my beautiful color scheme. And this is not just your average lab report. This is a beautiful lab report. So how do I change the colors to make them match? Very important. So we are going to click on that bar, the bar that we want to change. So my color scheme was green and blue. So I'm going to make one of them that nice green color and one of them that blue color. And all I do is I can just click on them and then change the color right over here. Ooh, look at that. So much better. So much better. And then, just to appease my nitpicky professor from college that I told you about, we can add some of those data labels at the top of those bars. Okay, so I might go to overhand first, and if I head back over to this customize section, you can see that I can just click on data labels. Wonderful. You see how it puts them, oops, right in the center of our bar. Excellent. So I can actually change where it's located. I could put it just outside as well. If I did that, I might actually make it a darker color. Oh, nope, don't want to do that. Never mind, you can't do that. Forget I said that. It'll change the whole color of the bar. Oh, look. Could this be text color? Oh, look at that. We found a workaround. So if you go down to the bottom, if you want to put the data label outside of the bar, but you want a darker color, you can change the color right here. Okay, and then I need to do the same for my next bar. So I'm going to click on that next bar. I'm going to add a data label. I'm going to position it outside of the end, and then I'm going to do a darker color. Ooh, lovely. You know, I'm going to be nitpicky here, but I'd like those to be a little bigger too. So I can just change those by clicking on the font size. Lovely. Okay, I actually think this graph looks pretty exceptional. So what I'm going to do now is we just have to transfer it over to our other document. So the way we do that is you can click on it, and then you go up to these 3 dots in the upper right corner. You click on them and you click Copy Chart. Okay, and then I head back into my fur and I'm going to just paste that. And you have to do it, I think, with a Control V, which you all are savvy now and you know those skills. So Control V, and it will always bring up this box that says link to spreadsheet or paste unlinked. You're going to leave it at link to spreadsheet. That's good to go. Oh, and look at that. Wow, this lab report is looking pretty nice, if I do say so myself, although this section I definitely need to finish. But otherwise, I think this lab report is looking exceptional. So the next piece is I'm going to head down to my conclusion. We've done our graph, we've done the data tables. I should give myself a grade for that, and I am so proud of myself because that is looking spiffy. I'm giving myself a 4. You can grade yourself as well. But now we need to write that conclusion. Actually, before I create the conclusion, if you're someone who wants to go above and beyond, or you get done with your work early, you want to do something, you want to go above and beyond, you can create an additional bar graph. You can do a graph where you graph both your data and your partner's data. That would be totally fine with me. If you're looking to go way above and beyond, potentially that elusive 5 that we talk so much about, feel free to do another bar graph. You can graph your data, you can graph your data and your partner's data. That would be a great way to go above and beyond. Wink, wink. Okay, so on to the conclusion. So something that we are rolling out this year at Cromry is we are trying to do use consistent language between 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And so we're trying to write our conclusion statements all in the same way. And so those conclusion statements, we want to use, it's called a C, and I'm going to type this in so you can see it, CER format. And CER stands for claim, evidence, and reasoning. So you should start out your conclusion by actually recording these 3 terms, because these will provide a nice outline for our conclusion. So claim, evidence, and reasoning. Now, I'm going to bold my headers because I just think that looks nicer. Bold, and then I'm going to unbold. So I did Control B, Control B. And I might as well do the same for these. Oops. And I think I have one more. Okay. Oh, gotta unbold that. Perfect. Oh no, it brought the bold back. Okay, I gotta get rid of it again. Okay, so for your claim is essentially you answering the question to your experiment. And it's also a great place to indicate whether your hypothesis was correct or incorrect. So if I go back up to the top, my question for my experiment was, is it easier to catch a porcupine ball thrown overhand or underhand? And my hypothesis says that I predict that it will be easier to catch a porcupine ball that is thrown underhand. So if I look at my data, I need to see, was I right? And when I look at my data, yes, I definitely was right. Because not only in my first data table did I catch 4 more underhand catches than overhand catches, but in my second graph where I recorded the difficulty, I put that underhand was easy and overhand was in between. So that is a clear winner for underhand. So when I go down to the claim, I want to create a statement that showcases that. So it can be pretty simple. It can be, in conclusion, because we love those transitional statements. In conclusion, my hypothesis was correct. Underhand tosses were, in fact, easier to catch than overhand tosses. So let me double check to make sure I have everything. If I reread it, I see that I not only recorded that my hypothesis was correct, but it also recorded why. So I said underhand tosses were, in fact, easier to catch than overhand tosses. That is a simple claim statement. Easy peasy. Okay, this is where you have to prove it to me, okay? You have to prove it to me. And what's really great about our setup here is we have so much proof. So in the evidence section, you are going to record, well, how do you know that to be true? So when I'm looking at my data table, I can easily write something along the lines of, the data proves that underhand tosses were easier to catch. And a really powerful statement in science is, for example, right? Because I want to be specific. So the data proves that underhand tosses were easier to catch. For example, my data table shows, shows that I caught, sorry, now I forgot already. 15, maybe I'll say only 15 overhand catches or tosses and 19 underhand tosses. Okay, so here's where you can go above and beyond. You can go above and beyond here by adding what percentage that is. So that might involve a little bit of calculation. You might have to go in and say, well, what's 15 out of 20? And then you could include those percentages. If you include percentages in this next section, that's an easy way to take this to a 4, okay? So I'm going to just write in parentheses, for a 4, add percentages. Okay, but I also might as well add that other data table. So I'm going to then say furthermore, qualitatively, busting out a word, qualitatively, I indicated that it was easy to catch underhand tosses, but in between to catch overhand tosses. Okay, so we could close this out, but I'm going to take it one step further. If you want that 4 plus or that elusive 5, you could, at this point, include your partner's data for further evidence. Check that out. Okay, we could just rock it here. And I like to conclude that this proves that underhand tosses are easier to catch. Okay, so we have our claim, we have our evidence, And this last step is the reasoning. So everyone's reasoning is going to look a little bit different. But in general, you want to explain why that is the case. So you all participated in the experiment. You all had the chance to experience the difference between your two variables that you were testing. So this is your chance to explain. So you might say, I believe that underhand catches are easier because they are slower and have a more gradual arc. This makes it easier to time the catch. In addition, a nice transitional phrase. We love that in literacy. In addition, and let's see, you can also refer to your hypothesis where you gave some ideas. In addition, underhand tosses are softer. I believe it is for this reason that when young children learn to catch, they are often given underhand tosses. Okay, that sounds good. And the last piece that I want you to add are improvements. So I hate to break it to everyone, but all of you had variables that you didn't control. That's a no offense, okay? But every experiment, it's impossible to control all the variables. So for instance, some of you did your experiment outside in the rain. That rain alone might make your experiment, the data skewed, okay? Some of you I saw stepping over that line when you tossed, so you weren't necessarily 4 meters apart, for instance, every time. Some of you tossed the ball inaccurately sometimes, so your partner's data may not have been accurate. So in this section, actually, I'm going to have you include any errors you and your partner had. So, well, our experiment went well. There were a few variables that were difficult to control. For example, my partner and I tossed the porcupine ball out in the rain. This made it slippery and more difficult to catch, which may have altered our data. So I'm going to have you try to shoot for 3 errors. I think we could say 3 errors would give you a 3. So you all then know what would be above and beyond and what would be a 2, right? 3 errors is a 3, 4 errors would be a 4, 2 errors would be a 2, 1 error would be a 1. So that's an easy way to grade that. Okay, once you're done with this, you can take a deep breath. You're done. I hope you are proud of your work. As I was coming around the last few days, I have been so proud to see what you have all come up with. It looks really professional, and I think you really did accomplish that beautiful lab report that we were striving for, since the beauty part is so important. So to finish it off, I'm going to have you go right up to the top. I'm going to have you give yourself a grade for that last conclusion section. Don't worry too much about this last piece since I'm having you use a different format. no worries. I gave you the ways that you can get a 3 or a 4 on that section. And then you can hit submit. You are done. Woot woot. The last thing that you can do at that point is take out a book and read. So I am so excited to see you on Wednesday, and I'm also really looking forward to taking a look at these lab reports. I'm pretty proud. So thanks, and have a wonderful rest of your day.